Hello everyone, Thatching Day's third video. It's been a really busy day at website today. We've done the 5-day forecast. You can find the video chat here on the homepage. Just scroll down a little bit and it's above the polling count. It's also the written version. You can get that from the buttons at the top of the page. There's also been the month-ahead forecast for August. Very complicated month coming up. So if you want to know what the month ahead could hold, in terms of Gaz over this month ahead forecast, then you can get to that from the buttons here on the home page. Just scroll down the page a bit and eventually you'll get to a button that says August 2017 forecast, and you click that, it'll take you to the correct page. This final video for today is going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days. This is going to take us through the first half of August, when you go to around the 12th, 13th of August with this update, so we're heading towards the middle part of the month. I think the idea is that certainly very cool and quite unsettled start, possibly something a little bit warmer and drier coming up later next week as we head towards the middle part of the month. We'll start with the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. So these are the upper air temperatures first of all. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We are a bit above average for today. It is quite humid, although there's a fair amount of rain, especially down in the south. But after that, really looking a little bit cooler than average through the weekend into next week as well. It's not until we get to around this period just here, which is sort of 10th, 11th, 12th, that we start to see the temperatures beginning to pick up. Now, there are a few quite hot members of the GFS ensembles appearing as we go towards the middle part of the month. I think we can sort of say they're unlikely at the moment, but it certainly does look like turning warmer, I think, late next week, heading to the middle part of August. It looks like having an improving picture. Having a look at the precipitation side of things, so we've got rainfall coming up over the next few days, generally quite showery in nature. This is the ensemble for Birmingham, and it does imply that there will be showers in places. Maybe something more definitively wet coming up through the early part then of next week. But then a drying trend again as we head in towards the middle part of August. This is 15th of August just here. So I think overall it's still the idea, unsettled and quite cool for the first week to 10 days, and then heading to the middle part of the month and it turns warmer and drier. How much warmer and drier it gets, how long it lasts, is open to quite a lot of doubt at the moment, but I think we will get a few days at least of some warmer and drier conditions at the end of next week, or in the second half of next week. These ensemble charts are showing the surface temperatures, the 2M temperatures, and also showing, which I'll look at in a moment, air pressure. Again, this is for Birmingham. So we're starting off just here, and even though the upper air temperatures are quite warm today, surface temperatures are quite cool. And this is 20 Celsius just here, so that's kind of a little bit cooler than average. You get a maximum temperature to Birmingham at the start of August of 20 degrees. It's going to be a bit cooler than average. And you see that certainly going to around the 10th, which is this period, the 9th to the 11th is just there. Going to around the 9th to the 11th, we're generally staying at or under 20 degrees Celsius. So the first 10 days of August looking cool. But then you notice there is definite warming trend taking place here as you're heading towards the middle part of the month, that period just here. And actually we have got some ensemble members there, these are going to be hot outliers, that are going above 25 degrees, possibly a few heading up towards 30 degrees. So that's turning hot, and we saw within the upper air temperatures that there are a few hot outliers appearing. They're not to be relied upon at the moment, but I think there is, from where we are at the moment, where we're going to be for next week or so, I think there's a definite lift up in the temperatures taking place there through to the middle part of August. Now, if you saw the month-ahead forecast, you know that the long-range models, CFS-V2, Beijing Climate Centre, are going for a solidly cooler than average month. But I did go against that a little bit with the Gavs Weathervids forecast. And I thought we'd probably, for England and Wales anyway, probably still coming out a little bit warmer than average. And the reason for that is what you're seeing just here. But I do think we're going to turn things warmer again through the second week of the month, and particularly heading towards that middle part of the month. In terms of pressure, again, you can see this change in pressure that is on the way from this chart. Again, this is for Birmingham. It's starting off quite quite low with the pressure just there, but the pressure will be increasing. Air pressure is increasing through the end of the week into weekend up to 1,020 millibars, then a slight drop there, and then we go up towards 1,030 millibars later next week. So a definite recovery in pressure taking place here as we're moving into the second week of August. That coincides with a recovery in temperature and a little bit of a drying trend as well. However, for next week it is cooler than average, so this is the temperature anomaly from the 2nd of August through to the 10th, and it's coming out a bit cooler than average for the UK and for Ireland once more. Precipitation anomalies for the next week, 2nd to 10th of August. They are coming out, well, for eastern parts of the country, a little bit drier than average, but elsewhere near normal to wetter than average. Expect these charts to trend warmer and drier, I would have thought, over the coming days. Over in America, the cool summer continues for the east and the Midwest, so through the breadbasket in the Midwest, looking significantly cooler than average. It's been the case all summer, really, and generally quite cool over towards the eastern side as well. Out in the west of the states, it remains hot there. In the Pacific Northwest, down towards California, and then in towards the desert areas of southwestern America, hotter than average there. So hot in the west, cool through central and eastern parts of the states. That's been the setup throughout most of the summer so far. Precipitation-wise, in America, the rainfall anomaly from the 2nd to 10th of August looks like this. Many places actually a little bit wetter than average, and particularly so in the south and the southwest. I think a lot of this is down to thunderstorms. You notice there is a lot of intrastate sort of variation. So, for example, this is California, and in southern parts of California, unusually, perhaps very much on the wetter than average side. Some parts of northern California are on the drier than average side. I would think that's all down to sort of hit and miss thunderstorms, and that's the case through many of these southern and southwestern parts of America. Further north in the Pacific Northwest, drier than average there, and then just generally close to average really with the precipitation as we head towards those cooler states in the Midwest and over onto the eastern side of America. Coming back closer to home then, and we better zoom out. So this is a GFS chart for Sunday when we're within a showery trough. So I think this does bring showers back to the north, but for the south it should be reasonably dry over the weekend. But there will be showers around, and they're particularly so in the north. Through to the start of next week, looks quite unsettled through the early part of next week. We keep a upper trough here within the 500 millibar flow, so at the very least expect showers for the early part of next week. But eventually, later next week, this is Thursday the 10th, we begin to get this ridge building from the Azores high, so that is settling things down, and it would be starting to warm up a bit as well as we get into the second half of next week. However, by the time we go through to Friday the 11th, already we're seeing signs of this ridge starting to be flattened off a little bit as this next area of low pressure around Iceland starts to head in. So yes, it does turn a little bit warmer and drier for a couple of days later next week, but by the end of next week and into the weekend of 12th, 13th of August, we're back into these relatively cool and showery west to northwesterly winds again. If you extend out a little bit beyond day 10, it looks like, particularly for the north, is a little bit on the cooler and more unsettled side. The eastern Earth is a bit better, though, for later next week. So this is how we look on Sunday. Again, looks rather showery, especially for the north, probably bringing some sort of trough through on Monday, which could bring an enhanced risk of showers, maybe in some longer spells of rain, especially so for the west. Tuesday, the 8th of August, looks cool and showery. Again, the wind in from the north and northwest. So it is going to be quite a cool, showery start to next week. But from the middle part of next week onwards, here comes a ridge from the Azores high, starting to push up towards us. And unlike what the GFS is doing, the ECNF actually keeps this ridge very, very close to the country. So certainly for England and Wales, this is at the very least 2-3 days mainly dry and warm weather in the second half of next week, unlike the GFS, which very quickly flattens this ridge off and pulls it back into the Atlantic, reverting us back into a cool and showery northwesterly flow. The ECM, particularly for England and Wales and Ireland, wants to keep this ridge going from the Azores. I would have thought by that point, Saturday 12th of August, it is 10 days away, but if it came off like this by that point, southern areas could easily be seeing temperatures back into the mid-20s Celsius, so back into the upper 70s Fahrenheit. You notice always a little bit more of a westerly influence further north. I think this month is going to be very much down to how much influence we can get from the Azores high. It's not totally impossible that those longer range models we looked at in the month-ahead forecast, the CFS and the Beijing Climate Centre, could be right, and we might end up with our first cooler than average month of the year, and also wetter than average as well. But it's certainly not to be ruled out. But I've got a feeling the Azores high is going to be stronger than those long range models are thinking. And for England and Wales, anyway, it probably will be a cooler than average month for Scotland. Bit of poor summer there anyway. But for England and Wales, and probably Ireland too, I would think this Azores ridge is going to be a little bit more influential, albeit not reliable. It won't keep going all month, will at times be pulling away from us, allowing unsettled conditions and cooler conditions to come back. But I think it'll have enough of an influence, hopefully, to give us some reasonable weather. Finally, just having a look at CFSV2 for the next month. These are the 500 with our heights broken down into week periods. The first week period taking us from the 2nd to the 8th of August. The coming week looks unsettled. Low pressure is through the country with jet stream like that. By the way, this ridge in the south and southeast of Europe is going to be bringing some very, very hot weather to many southern parts of the Mediterranean and also into southeastern Europe as well. We'll be hearing it on the news in the papers about the heat wave that's going on in the southeast of Europe in the coming days. Week 2, which takes us to the 9th to the 15th of August. So we've got high pressure through the Med, low pressure is up here. Otherwise, not a great deal going on. I think the jet stream's starting to lift a bit further north with that. So this is possibly our slightly more settled interlude through the second week of August, albeit there are question marks how long it lasts. But I think it does improve a bit through the second week of August. Then we go through to week 3, which is the 16th to the 22nd of August. And the low pressure's back again. That looks another very unsettled week coming up then. And it would be cool as well. And then week 4, which takes us to the end of August. This is the 23rd to 29th of August. Back comes a ridge from the Azores high, and with that one we'd be bringing up the air rather like that. So that does imply late in the month we probably get another spell of quite warm and mostly dry weather. That would be nice because it would coincide with the bank holiday weekend, of course, the late August bank holiday. So it does look like it's going to be a mixed bag for August. It's not going to be a reliably settled month. It won't be a classic summer month, I don't think. But I think there will be enough of an influence from the Azores high to bring some warmer and dry conditions at times, particularly to the southern part of the country. The north probably always more unsettled. In terms of next week to 10 days, so it's cool and showery for the next few days, and then get through into next week, a cool showery start to next week, probably turning warmer and drier as we head up towards the end of next week. Right, check out all the other updates. Been loads of updates today, so check all of those out. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.